Alright guys, so today we're going to look at weather tools, just a very short, quick review of tools that help us measure and forecast our weather. The first tool is the thermometer, and I think by now we're all pretty used to how a thermometer works. It has liquid inside, and depending on the heat outside, the liquid goes up and down. We use thermometers to measure the temperature of our air. A good way to remember what a thermometer measures is to break down the word into parts. So therm represents heat, and meter actually stands for device for measuring. So in the United States, we commonly measure our temperature in Fahrenheit, but a lot of places in the world use Celsius. And because we're in science class, everything we're going to be measuring is going to be in Celsius. So a thermometer is a device for measuring heat. A barometer is a device that measures air pressure. So this can be really helpful in forecasting short-term weather. And a barometer comes from the Greek words that represent weight and measure. So that makes sense with air pressure because we're looking at how much pressure the air molecules are putting on the surface of the earth. So that can sometimes seem like weight. So depending on if it's a high amount of pressure or a low amount of pressure, we're going to get different types of weather. So barometers can be very helpful in telling us what kind of weather we can expect based on the air pressure outside. An anemometer measures the wind speed. So you'll notice on the top of an anemometer there are a bunch of these cups. As the wind blows past the cups capture the air and make the anemometer spin. The faster it spins, the faster the wind speed. An anemometer actually has some Greek root words too. So the root word is anemos, which stands for wind. So remember, meter is a device for measuring. So now I have a device for measuring wind, and specifically its speed. The next tool is a hygrometer. So hygrometers are used to measure the amount of humidity or water vapor in the air. So a good way to remember hygrometer is hygro is very similar to hydro, which represents water, and meter is a device for measuring. So I have a device for measuring water in the air. There are a ton of different types of hygrometers. So we have three different examples here for you. We have a digital kind. The round one is the metal and paper coils. And then the one on the bottom with the two thermometers is called a psychrometer. What we have is a dry thermometer and a wet thermometer, and then the difference is what we use to indicate the amount of humidity in the air. The next tool is a rain gauge, and a rain gauge simply measures the amount of liquid precipitation, so rain, that happens in amount of time. So you can have it out there for a day if it's raining a lot and you just want to see how much rain happened in this one certain rainfall, or you can leave it out there for several days to see if it's raining a lot or a little. And if it's not raining at all, you might be in a drought. So rain gauges are helpful just to help us indicate the amount of rain for whatever given amount of time you want to measure. We have a wind vane or sock, or a weather vane or sock. These help measure the direction the wind is blowing. So a wind or weather vane is usually found on top of houses, and while they're functional and they can help us to determine what way the wind's blowing and what direction it's blowing to, they're not really used much more for that other than decoration. A windsock you might see if you go to an airport or an airfield where there are planes. Windsocks can be used to identify the direction of the wind and show its speed, although it can't tell you how fast it's going. Just by visual, you can tell if the wind is blowing pretty fast or not very much at all, depending on how inflated the sock is. The next tool is the weather balloon. So weather balloons are really cool high altitude balloons. So unlike a balloon we would blow up in class, this balloon goes up all the way to the top of the troposphere to the bottom of the stratosphere, which is pretty high up. These balloons, as they're rising higher and higher in altitude through our atmosphere, it's going to measure different things like the air pressure, the temperature, humidity, and other things. And then eventually it pops and then falls back down to Earth. So these weather balloons are really helpful in giving us a lot of different data, and then our job is to collect that data, record it, and then interpret it. So for your homework, I want you to read this scenario. Sarah wants to go running outside, so she isn't sure about what the most appropriate outfit is to wear. So you need to pick 3 weather tools that she can use to help her decide on what best to wear and how to prepare for her run. So in a couple or more than a couple, probably a few complete sentences, you need to write down the tools she should use and why she should use them. So, why are they helpful for her? And we'll discuss your answers tomorrow after warm ups.